I guess I'm kind of giving you guys a little spoiler here. This was a tree I'll be cutting down later in this video, and you guys can see that. But and in case anyone is wondering, I am using Power Director on the Google Play Store to edit these videos and make these effects. So just in case anyone is wondering, that is exactly what I'm using. And hope you guys enjoy the rest of the video, and thanks for watching. Welcome to The Chinese Chainsaw Strikes Again, Part 2. So this was just on the other side of the road where my dad had that tree work and stuff done. And this was, I don't know, just a little bit further down the road, but right across from it for the most part. And I'm just taking down these two ash trees here. These trees, of course, are dead. No surprise there. We've lost quite a few ash trees, and I still have many more to clean up. They were here with the bucket truck, and they trimmed up a bunch of tree branches and stuff, and they topped these ash trees. And I'm just cutting them down and getting them cut to length so that we can haul them away with the 8N or the Jeep trailer with the pickup truck crane. Both of these trees were about 35 years old, and they were actually pretty small trees. For 35 years old, those trees should be a lot bigger, I think. But then again, this is ash. These aren't, pine trees or something. But you can see the Chinese chainsaw is working pretty good. It's pretty smoky running this thing. I'm not entirely sure why. I am running 40-to-1 fuel mixture ratio. Maybe I probably need to do some carb adjusting. It's probably running pretty heavy on the high RPMs. And now I get a better view for you guys that you can see exactly what I'm doing here. I didn't want to hit the camera with one of the trees, and of course I was way far away from it to begin with. So I had to be careful dropping these trees. I did not want them to go out onto the road. I think they would have just about hit it, or they would have gotten just the edge of the road. I'm contemplating whether to use these logs for lumber or just to use them for firewood. I'm not entirely sure. But I'm measuring them out like I'm using them for lumber. Generally, whenever I clean up these trees, what I'll do is I'll cut them into about 6-foot lengths if they're going to be firewood, and 8-9 foot lengths if they're going to be lumber. But I'm just getting things marked out here, and I made sure to cut on the uphill side of the log, so if I cut these things, the log doesn't roll onto me. And I had this tree that I'm cutting right here. This tree hopped off the stump, so after it fell over, the end kind of came up, and it just went right beside me. Right, I don't know, less than a foot away from my legs, which was kind of a little scary, but, it didn't hit me or anything, so that's always a good thing. But it moved about 5 feet off the stump. We're on a little bit of a hill here, and, the middle of the tree hit, and then it kicked the butt end of the tree up into the air and downhill. So we're just making some cuts here. Of course, I'm taking off branches and stuff as I go. The guys did a pretty good job on the tree service of limbing these things to start with. And it's quite nice, when all I have to do is just drop the tree and measure it out for the logs. But I'm just trying to figure out what I can get here when it comes to logs. And I really need to get a logger's tape, the ones that have they have like, I don't know, little nail ends on it so that it'll stick into the wood. All I'm using here is a tape measure. I do have a logger's tape though, but it doesn't automatically rewind. It's an old Sears Craftsman one, so you have to wind it up yourself, which is no big deal. It was my grandpa's, and I'm sure he'd be happy to see me using it. So I think I got 3 or 4 logs out of this tree and 3 or 4 out of the other one. My brother was in here pushing some sticks with the 8N, and you can see this bare spot here that I'm standing on. The 8N is quite a tractor to be pushing branches and stuff around. It really has no shortage of torque and stuff, especially for this application. My brother is, in the meantime, while I was doing this, he was replumbing the 8N for the hydraulics for it, all the piping. That tractor didn't come factory with a, plumbing and stuff for the hydraulics for the loader, so you had to add it, and he replaced hydraulic lines and a couple other things too. So here is that tree that I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Obviously I've sped this clip up so you guys don't have to watch me cut this whole tree in real time. I did not do a super good job on my wedges on this tree. 2 things I would have done different. I should have made the wedge cut that the tree, for the hinge, the piece of wood that you pull out. I should have made that wider so that it would not have bent over on that, and it didn't fall yet, because then I had to cut a little bit of the hinge. And just about there it starts to go. Yep, there it goes. And since I can reverse it, and then we'll also do a slow motion here. I think it's cool, you can almost count every RPM on the chainsaw. And unbeknownst to me, the wedge that I was using to hammer the tree over with popped out, flew out with the chainsaw there, which I think is kind of neat. So I got the tree down. Alright. I should have lined up my cuts better here, and I know I did a bad job at that, but we still got it to go the way that I wanted it to. And the wood still seems to be relatively good. And a lot of that's getting a little spongy there. But the rest of this thing seems pretty good. So let me give you a ring count here. This tree is about 76 years old, and I will probably get a roughly 2 6-foot logs, maybe 5.5 feet long each. So let's cut this thing in half, because I don't think the 8N is going to be able to pull this thing out on its own. I'll tell you what, I can barely walk in here, because it is so steep. And just like that, the Chinese chainsaw fires up on the very first pull. There was a woodpecker hole in this tree, and I was wondering if I was cutting down someone's home. But once I got this tree on the ground, there didn't seem to be any life in it or anything living in it, so that's good. And I was just about running out of gas in this saw. These 3 trees, I'm surprised I burned up so much fuel doing all this cutting and whatnot, but hey, I guess it is what it is, right? And we have one 12-foot log down there, 2 5 or 6s, and I think there's an 8 down there also, so there's quite a bit of wood that I got from just this one tree. Surprise, surprise. I figured I'd throw in some log moving in this video also. So this is the 48 or 49 Ford 8N with a Freeman loader on the front. And we're just moving some of these logs up out of the hill that it's on. And funny thing is I'm already using those lifting hooks that I welded onto the loader frame, and they all seem to be just fine. I haven't bent or broken any of them, and having those on there is really, really nice, because you can kind of pick up logs and pull things and tow stuff, and it's really nice having those hooks on there. And I'm just using a pretty long chain. This chain is actually from my Harbor Freight trailer, and I'm using I think these are Timber Tough log tongs, and they seem to work pretty good. You have to pick up the log to set the tong in the log, to set the spikes in it so that it will not come undone. And if you don't set it, it will probably slip off. So I don't know, maybe I was doing something wrong, but they seem to work pretty good for the bigger wood. So this was that big ash tree, and there's one log. This was the top end of it, and we just kind of pick it up, and I'll tell you what, the 8N is quite a log mover. I didn't think it was going to work as well as it does. The bucket that's on it is a manure bucket, and it's almost like having a set of forks in addition to the bucket, and you don't even have to remove them. So the cylinders on this do need rebuilt. They are dripping oil, so at some point I may rebuild them, or what I might do is re-chrome it and rebuild it. This is the butt end of the log, and it was about 18 inches thick.
Boy, this is it.
Figured I'd throw in this clip also. This is pretty much the top of the tree. We're one log down from the top, and it's a very big one. It's a foot thick too.
12-footer. That's a big log, I'll tell you. Well, hopefully you'll fit through the gate. I'm gonna make it.
So I think this gate opening here is a 16 foot, if I remember correctly, something like that. And I think from lifting up this log, we are right at the max rating for what these front tires of this tractor are rated for, or we're probably over it. So the next day we had a flat tire in the front end of this tractor, so something else to fix. So I hope everyone enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more, and we'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.